Hi, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of our expert series hosted by NovusNorth, where we explore all things digital transformation, product management, and customer experience. I'm Michelle Palomera, the Chief Growth Officer at NovusNorth. And today we'll be speaking with Barbara Donahue, who is a well-rounded senior executive. She's led several large-scale transformation efforts. Barbara, hello. Thanks for joining us today. Why don't you take a minute and introduce yourself?
Hi, Michelle. Thank you for having me. I love to talk about digital transformations, and I would love to share some insights from my experiences. I have worked in the financial services industry for over 30 years, mainly at State Street, but in many different capacities. I have deep accounting and custody experience, global product, technology, and help lead those transformations. I also have a extensive network that I have relied on and have collaborated with many different folks across the financial services industry.
Barbara, you're the perfect person for us to talk to today. To get us started here, many companies are still struggling on their digital transformation journeys. What would you say are some of the key ingredients for getting started? And any lessons learned or perhaps things not to do?
Sure. Through my experience, I have found that it's important to create a clear and concise roadmap to begin your journey. It's important that you flag key areas where you need those collaborations and intersections, especially with the clients in the industry. It is very critical to do that. Appreciating also key regulatory requirements and changes along the way, and having regular checkpoints to ensure the project is in line are also key. One of the things that we found helpful is laying out that future state architecture that is needed and making sure you understand the key deliverables and measurements along the way to be successful. It's communication that is key, both internally and externally. And it's important that you get that buy-in and to create that positive engagement to create those incremental outcomes. Mapping out end-to-end data flows and defining business process changes along the way helps you engineer and architect solutions that are meaningful to your customers. It's important to ensure that your clients are aware of these changes as you go along, because they may have to do changes to accept those changes on their side. So it's important that you create that partnership and long-term vision with your clients. I also think what I thought was really effective is when the business and technology work side by side to deliver the digitization plan.
That makes a lot of sense. You talked about collaboration and on measurements and outcomes. How do you actually define the measurements? And what are some examples of measurements for success?
So the key thing about measuring outcomes is defining tangible and agreeable goals along the way that get you to the final outcome that you're trying to achieve. So it's important that you communicate internally and externally, and that you have a combination of metrics that you're tracking along the way, which would include operational efficiency, customer feedback, risk measures, technology efficiency, and operationalization, so you can build out the most effective and efficient technology environment.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of clients aren't necessarily using a combination of all those elements to define success. So that's really helpful to understand, especially on things like application rationalization, defining a goal around that, as well as defining, specific measures around risk and operational efficiency. You talked about collaboration and needing technology and business to work together as a critical success factor, but How do you actually achieve that alignment? Um, what kinds of do incentives factor in?
Proper alignment across the life cycle of a digitization program is really powerful. Ensuring the staff understands and helps define the changes creates that engagement and pride in the project. And that in itself is a huge incentive to the employees within the organization. And it really helps create better outcomes. I also think financial incentives are key. But I do think that having the team participate in defining the goals and objectives and help with the vision of where they see the company going. And I think that that creates a very good working environment and long-term career path journey for those that are participating. Ensuring you communicate those successes along the way and give credit to the team creates a great working environment. And I can't say enough about that because I do think that collaboration is key. Although they always do love a great bonus, but I do think helping with their career path is a big benefit to them. The same is true with customers. Having that proper alignment, and if they can see the benefit and can participate, it truly strengthens your relationship with them and creates a long-term partnership with them.
That's really insightful. I do think more firms are starting to work with cross-functional teams, but they often do get super excited when they're, involved in activities that may not be part of their typical day-to-day, like workshops and design thinking on the front end, various things like that. So that's really insightful. I think a lot of firms are not thinking about incentives on a multifaceted way like that, and just the contributions. So on that topic, back to some of the collaboration and working with customers, tell us about your experience partnering with outside firms. This is a topic, obviously, that's very near and dear to my heart, NovusNorth. But how and when do you decide when to bring in outside firms, consulting firms, and how do you balance that with your internal teams?
Great question. I do think that outside firms are critical with any transformation program that you begin. I do think that you need to draw insights from them, from their experience in the industry, and they can help you define and refine the roadmaps that you've created. We have had good experience working with firms to help create customer communication packages, including visualizations, and really truly mapping out the benefits to clients and determine ways to collaborate across the process. I also think it's a great way to use an outside party is to validate your roadmap at the beginning, but also incrementally along the way. It creates a checks and balances to make sure that you are ready along the way and you're not going to have any bumps. I do think outside parties also can supplement staff needed to do research, business process mapping, creating business visualization, professional visualizations, and really help execute on the implementations of the outcomes you're trying to achieve.
That's great to hear. And I do think this year in particular, it's kind of a funky year. Budgets are up in the air. I know we have a lot of clients that are sort of reprioritizing, rethinking budgets, and their recs may be hard to come by. So some supplemental help from the outside might be the way to go. Barbara, tell us about where you see some of the biggest digital transformation opportunities right now. For many years, companies have been working on things like digitizing onboarding processes, as well as, other sort of core things. But where do you see those opportunities right now?
I have heard, and I continue to hear, that digitization is one of the highest priorities for most firms across the industry. And I think that's important because you do want everybody having budgets and engagement throughout the process, because no one firm is truly digitized 100%. There's always going to be room for improvements. And I do think that getting the proper data flows from front, middle to back could always, continue to improve along the way. I do think also as technology changes, it's important for organization to stay updated and manage the risk of full digitization. I also think that the T+1 settlement has really created a great opportunity for digitization, and it will help all the firms get a true end-to-end interaction. I do think large custodians and clearing firms are in pretty good shape, but there are still areas to improve and further digitize. As an example, there's still paper contracts out there in the real estate and the loan space. These are areas that could be further digitized. However, I do think with artificial intelligence, robotics, and other new technologies, I do think these, where you aren't fully digitized, they complement your digitization efforts and really ensure that you get data on the track of digitization. Regulatory events like T+1 really help you manage your budget and make sure that you use that budget to force that digitization within your organization. I do think it's an opportunity to spend the money wisely and to get that end-to-end digitization that the industry truly would love to have.
Great points, Barbara. NovusNorth is currently helping several clients achieve T+1 compliance in a few of their different applications. And I would agree, it's a great way to align and prioritize some of those efforts. Final question for today. We're on the heels of Women's History Month. And as a senior female leader, just wanted to ask you, what suggestions do you have for our younger emerging female leaders?
I am super excited for the future generation that is going to lead the financial services industry or even the country. I do think women are going to play a big role in that and continue to thrive and truly lead. One suggestion I would have for individual women is really stay true to yourself. Make sure that you stay on track to what you want to do, but also be confident in your abilities and really try to bring your ideas forward in a meaningful way. And what I mean by that is bring those facts to the table and really bring the messaging to your companies to help really make the industry and the country a better place.
Great advice. Well, thank you, Barbara. This was a great talk. We learned a lot about some of the digitization opportunities, some lessons learned, some how to get started, and ways of aligning and measuring success. So thank you very much. And thank you to the audience, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Michelle.